Welcome back to the IE427 garage, everybody. Today I'm going to show you some clips that the owner and their children shot while they were go-karting the King's Cobra just a couple of weeks ago. Before we get to that video, I want to go ahead and show you some of the things that we're still working on the King's Cobra in order to get this thing to the point where we can put the body on. In the last video where we worked on the car, I told you that we were going to re-bleed the brakes, and we did. What we found was that we had two minor leaks in the actual brake system, and this is kind of the first time this has ever happened, or that I've traced it down to something like this. Basically what happened was the leaks were so small that brake fluid wasn't getting out of the system, but it was introducing air into the lines. And I've never had that happen before. So the way I identified it is there was staining on the fittings, and some of the staining's still here. So let me show you. On this front fitting, you can see there's some staining right here on the fitting. And what was happening is, as we were pressing the brakes, it wasn't necessarily letting fluid out, but there was almost like brake fluid vapor that was causing this corrosion around the fitting. And I didn't notice it until basically the point where we were re-bleeding the front brakes, and the pedal was kind of spongy. We could feel that before we started bleeding. But as I was bleeding the brakes with Mrs. IE427, she said, "The brakes feel funny." And I reached in the car and I pushed the brake pedal in with my hand, and it did. It felt real spongy, more so than it did before we started bleeding the brakes. And when I looked at the fluid reservoir, we were losing like fluid out of both reservoirs, which was kind of odd because there's nowhere in the braking system where the two circuits come together. But it was, I think what was happening more than anything else is that as the air pockets were getting to those leaks, it was letting air out and air back in, if that makes any sense. We've gotten past that now. We've got all the fittings tightened up, and I found two fittings, one in the front, one in the back, that were kind of loose. And we went ahead and snugged those up, re-bled the brakes, both front and back, and now the brake pedal's rock solid. So I'll take the car out probably in the next few days, go-kart it again, make sure that we've got the bias set properly, and then we'll kind of move on from there. Other things that I did get done in the car is the turn signal switch is installed. So it's all finished installed, and I want to bring this up in this video as well. When you install our turn signal switch, you need to maintain a gap here of about 1/16 of an inch. That way that no part of the hub is rubbing on the plastic collar of the turn signal switch. And we've got this one all installed. This was one that I had here that I demoed putting a chrome handle on. So not wanting to go to waste, it went on the customer car here. The other things that we've done, you can see I still need to vacuum inside here. We've got the shifter boot screwed down. That's finally in place. We had the shifter boot sitting in its location, but we had not yet put the screws in to fasten it down. And then we've got the ignition switch mounted in the dash, which previously we just had it hanging under the dash. I still have some wires to strap in place behind the dash. And what I did was I added a couple of cushion clips to the dash hoop. So I put them in from the bottom, but I added one here and here. And that's going to enable me to get some tie wraps and tie wrap, like for instance, these connectors up. So at no point can they fall down and be below the dash. And same thing with the ignition switch. We've got to strap that up to one of those as well, just so that the wires going to the ignition switch don't want to drape down below the dash. I've got the underdash panel in place over here. And that was just so that I could set the distance and gap for my turn signal switch and steering wheel hub, and then get the steering shaft locked into place with the set screws that are on the bearing at the pillow block. You can see I've got to strap these wires up from the dash as well. I'll probably strap those to this bracket right here, and that'll get those away from the actual steering shaft. Other things that we've done, we've kind of tidied up the trunk area. We're not done cleaning, vacuuming, that kind of thing, but I got the carpet cut out for the access panel here for the fuel pump. In this case, it's only a fuel pickup, but we still want to make sure we leave access to that. The electronic connector, the electrical connector for a electric fuel pump is still here. We've got it tie wrapped to one of the supply or return lines here, so that if the owner ever changes his mind down the line and wants to add fuel injection to the car, he has the electrical connector back here. We cut out the hole for the sending unit, and we cut a hole out right here in the back of the trunk in the carpeting for our bolt to come through for our quick jack. So not only do we have to take care of the one here, let me grab a flashlight. Take care of the one here, and there is a hole there. We also have to take care of the back side where the actual nut for that bolt is going to go, and that just happens to be inside our drop trunk box. And then I got the one here on the other side done as well. Now, this one here, when we go ahead and put this together, we put the quick jacks on, the nut will reach in here, and we'll put the nut on from here with the bolt going in from the outside. The bottom ones are accessible. So as I've said in the past, I really have no need for those threaded couplings that a lot of guys like to do on this. You're only going to generally install the body once, and so it just doesn't make sense to me to have to buy all new hardware for the back of the car to use these threaded couplings. So it's your car, you do what you want, but for me, it's just easier to just go ahead and use the hardware that comes with the kit. I think that'll get you all caught up on what we were working on up to this point. And what I'll do now is I'll go ahead and insert some of that video from the day the family was here and we go-karted the car. All right, so I don't want to go over the same stuff that I've already gone over in a previous video, but we did have a leak, and I don't know if it shows up in any of the video that we shot out front when they go-karted the car, but that was a transmission leak. And somehow I never noticed that there was not a speed sensor, a vehicle speed sensor mounted on the side of the transmission. And so, you know, they went out and go-karted the car, you know, 4 or 5 times around the block. And as they're driving, it's just, you know, dumping fluid out of that hole in the transmission. So at this point, you know, it's fixed. You know, we put fluid back in, and everything's good. But I want to thank the King family for coming out. It was nice to have them come down here and visit. And this is one of those rare instances where we've actually had an entire family come down to visit us at any point during the build. And so it was kind of cool. We hosted them for the entire afternoon. It was really windy in the afternoon when they took the car out go-karting. And I even mentioned to Chad and his wife, I go, God, if you guys had been here in the morning, it was beautiful. No wind, nice and still. You know, we were all out in the front. You know, you almost needed a sweater or a jacket because of the wind. But I think everybody had a good time. And we're really glad that we got to spend some time with the King family, and they got to spend time here in the shop. So I think that's where I'm going to leave it. If you are enjoying the content here, as always, please do the like, the share, the subscribe, all that kind of stuff. We'll see you next time. Have a great day.